I remember moving through my days in this fog, exhausted, overwhelmed, frustrated that no matter how hard I pushed, I just couldn't catch up. I wasn't happy. I wasn't the mom I wanted to be. And I honestly did not have the energy to fix it. I tried all the routines, all the systems, all the supplements, but nothing stuck. What finally changed everything was when I stopped adding more solutions and instead simplified. I started removing things that were sabotaging my healing. And the very first thing I had to quit was what I believed that healing even was. And this lesson didn't come from a spiritual book. It actually came from Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers. You may have heard of it. Not a Christian book, but the point he makes is really powerful. He opens with this story about Roseto, Pennsylvania, this Italian immigrant town where people live these incredibly long, healthy lives, fewer heart attacks, better longevity, better overall health, even though they ate the same food and lived in the same climate and had similar lifestyles as towns around them. These towns did not have the same great health. Researchers dug in expecting to find some diet secret or exercise routine, but the reason wasn't their food or their workouts at all. It was their mindset, their faith, their community. They took care of their emotional and spiritual lives, and that overflowed into their physical health. When I read that, I just stopped because it hit me. If I wanted to climb out of the hole I was in, I had to stop doing something almost all of us do today. I had to quit thinking of healing as sectional, as divided into parts. So if we're struggling emotionally, we go to therapy. If our body hurts, we go see a doctor. And if our spiritual life is dry, we go to church. All of these are great things. But what so many Christians miss is that these areas constantly shape each other. Sometimes physical symptoms come from emotional or spiritual wounds. Sometimes emotional struggles come from physical imbalances. Mind, body, and soul are connected. God designed us that way. We are reflections of the Trinity. And honestly, those daily thought loops, the stress, the fear, the constant pressure, they can do more harm than any food dye or any seed oil you're trying to avoid. That Rosetto story made something painfully clear. I could be doing everything right physically, but if I kept compartmentalizing, I would never feel real peace. Once I quit believing I could separate everything into neat little boxes, I had the clarity to notice one of the biggest habits that was keeping me stuck. I had been treating my body like it was a man's body. And the moment this hit me was honestly kind of scary. I was at a baseball game talking to another mom, and then suddenly I started stumbling over my words. I was forgetting names, pausing mid sentence, and trying to remember really basic stuff. I went home, and of course, I started Googling symptoms, and then I realized that I was anemic. And guess what? I had been doing these really intense fasts recommended by male fasting influencers, and my female body simply couldn't keep up. Now, I love intermittent fasting. I've had great results, but the type of fasting I was doing was not suited to women. And this was such a wake up call. I was doing so many things right, but in a way that didn't honor or take into account how God created women. Men and women both need healthy rhythms, but men usually thrive with intensity. Women thrive with gentler cyclical rhythms. I'm going to be talking about cycles a lot. They are so key for women. We need more sleep. We react more strongly to stress and blue light. Our hormones shift in ways that matter really deeply. And once I started paying attention to what my body needed, even in seasons when I wasn't cycling, because this is important for all women, everything began to shift. I began eating more when my body asked for it, resting when my hormones needed it, and finally prioritizing regular sleep, as much sleep as possible with kids, that is. Healthy eating and movement suddenly became more sustainable, more intuitive, and way more effective. God made men and women differently, and when we honor that, we finally begin to heal. And if we haven't met yet, I'm Andrea. I'm a Catholic mother of eight, and I make videos to help Christian mothers simplify their health, calm their minds, and grow closer to God in the middle of our real and imperfect lives. Everything I share here comes straight from my own healing journey, and my hope is always that something in these videos gently points you back towards peace. And if you're listening to this and thinking, okay, Andrea, but where on earth do I even start? The same practices that changed my life are inside my free 7-day reset for Christian mothers. Every day is just one simple step, not overwhelming, not intense, just a gentle way to help your mind, body, and soul work together again. The link is right down below. So once I honored how God created my body, I couldn't ignore the next thing that was ruining my health. I had to stop ignoring my negative thought patterns. Most of us don't even recognize this as a problem. We think that you have to experience some type of intense trauma or even abuse to need brain rewiring. But that is simply not the case. And when your mind is looping the same negative thoughts all day long, you have a really hard time hearing God. It's like having this emotional, stress inducing soundtrack that's running in the background, and it makes you react in the wrong way before you even realize what's happening. For so long, I didn't see that my worst case thinking, my self criticism, the overwhelm, the I'm failing, I'm behind, I don't deserve this soundtrack was keeping my body in fight or flight all day long. And when your mind is stressed, your body stays stressed. Digestion slows, hormone shift, inflammation rises. You can't out diet or out supplement chronic negativity or anger. And here's the real truth: even though I was praying, even though I was doing the right spiritual things, it's very hard for prayer to take root in a mind that's constantly spiraling. I had to learn to interrupt my thoughts, challenge them, and replace them with truth, God's truth. And this is when everything began to shift. My body finally rested, my nervous system calmed. I started healing in ways I've been trying to force for years. Because when you stop ignoring your thoughts, you stop ignoring one of the biggest root causes of your physical burnout. So the next thing I quit was believing that whole food groups were evil. There's always some trend telling you to eliminate carbs or fat or meat, but God created these foods. And when we eat them in their natural form, they nourish us. Cutting out entire macronutrient groups long term almost always leads to deficiencies, especially for women who are more sensitive to stress to begin with. We need abundant nutrients for bodies that were created to nourish life. So now I do my best to avoid, most of the time, white sugar, dyes, seed oils, ultra processed foods, but I don't fear the real foods that God made. And another thing I quit was the supplement trap. I used to think that each new pill or powder was the missing piece, but supplements are just that, supplements. And it's so easy to fall prey to clever marketing. I had to build a lifestyle first. So I simplified in a few ways. I stopped taking multiple new things at once. I avoided blended supplements so I could track what was actually helping. And I took breaks to see what I actually needed. It was very freeing and way more effective and easier on the pocketbook. Another thing I quit believing was that intense workouts were the key to health. Women benefit far more from consistent, gentle movement, walking, playing with their kids, staying naturally active. And once I aligned movement with my hormonal rhythms, it stopped feeling like a battle. I also quit letting the scale tell me if I was healthy. After several babies, I realized that weight has a lot more to do with hormones than with calories. So I began to paying attention to real markers of health: your blood sugar, your sleep, your energy. And once I quit obsessing over the scale, that's when changes really happened. Another big one, I quit treating self care like it was an event. For years, I would run myself ragged all week and then expect a single night out or a shopping spree or even just scrolling alone in silence to magically reset me. It never really lasted, and self care is not an escape. It's not something you have to earn. It's these tiny pauses woven into your actual life, real life moments: a deep breath, a quick prayer, stepping outside for light, stretching, calling a friend, slowing down, and doing one thing at a time. These small daily resets, done in moments of stress, are what keep your nervous system regulated and your spirit grounded. We can't live frantic all day and expect a single hour to repair it. And honestly, this is how God designed us to live. The liturgical year has seasons of fasting and feasting, but most of the year is steady, ordinary time with little moments of joy, feast days scattered throughout. Our self care needs to follow that same rhythm. Not big occasional escapes, but regular small returns. And finally, I quit thinking I could do this all on my own. Something that many of us don't realize until very late is that you can actually ask God to grow your relationship with Him. For the longest time, I thought closeness to God just happened for certain women, the naturally prayerful ones. And if I didn't feel close, I assumed I had to figure it all out on my own. But intimacy with God isn't something you can manufacture. It's a grace He gives us when we open up and ask Him for it. So let me leave you with something practical. Think about the woman that you want to be. Now think about why you aren't her yet. What in your mind is keeping you from this goal? What small steps could you take in the next 6 months to move towards her? We all have difficulties, but we can all do something. And when we invite God into even that tiny something, the changes are amazing. This is exactly why I created my 7-day reset to help you take those first simple, grace filled steps, small habits, gentle rhythms, thought shifts, a deeper connection with God. If you're ready to take 7 days towards becoming the woman God is forming you into, that link is down below. And I would absolutely love to help you reset your mind, body, and soul with God's rhythms. God bless you all. And thank you so much for watching.